Minnesota, the self-proclaimed state of hockey. Hockey is more than just a staple in Minnesota. It's part of life. The Minnesota Wild have been part of the NHL since 2000, but it wasn't like this. 7 years ago, before the Wild became a franchise, another Minnesota team skated every winter, and they were loved by fans. Unfortunately, declining attendance, off-the-ice turmoil, and the court of law led to this team being lassoed to Dallas. That team was the Minnesota North Stars. Play the intro. The Minnesota Wild have been a franchise of misfortune. They've made the conference finals once, won their division once, and have never been considered a real threat. Even then, the Wild aren't the first team to call the state of hockey home. Before the Wild, there were the North Stars. I talked about this before. The North Stars joined the league in the 1967 expansion. They doubled the size of the NHL from 6 to 12, bringing the North Stars, Blues, and 4 other teams. In the beginning, Minnesota they were an expansion team. What did you expect? All the expansion teams were terrible. The North Stars did place first in their division and won a series. They were one win away from the Stanley Cup final in their first season, but were stabbed in the back by the Blues in a double overtime Game 7. The North Stars had two endings: make the playoffs and bow out, or win a round and bow out in the second round. Around the mid-70s, the North Stars were crumbling. After making the playoffs in 5 out of their first 6 seasons, Minnesota missed the playoffs in the next 5 out of 6 seasons. In 1978, a big decision was made that altered the Stars' fortunes. The Cleveland Barons were a mess. 2 years after moving from California, the Barons were sinking in debt and were on the verge of bankruptcy and/or contraction. A decision was made to merge the Barons into the North Stars franchise. The North Stars, while it took a few years, got back to form. In 1981, the North Stars went on a Cinderella run. The Stars finished third in their division and weren't expected to do anything in the playoffs. Minnesota was determined to prove every naysayer wrong. The North Stars swept the Boston Bruins in the first round, crushed the Buffalo Sabres in the second round, and extinguished the Calgary Flames in the third round. The North Stars, for the first time in their history, were going to the Stanley Cup final. The North Stars would be facing the New York Islanders. Unfortunately, Minnesota ran out of gas. The Stars were obliterated in 5 games. They did the best they could. The Islanders were just the better team. The series loss, while expected, still stung. There was hope for the future. The North Stars would make the playoffs consistently, but never made it back to the finals. In 1984, Minnesota was very close to making the Cup final. The North Stars dominated their rivals in the Blackhawks and Blues in the playoffs en route to the conference finals, but they were swept by the Edmonton Oilers. The Stars tried, but couldn't keep up with the high-flying Oilers offense. After that, the North Stars fell off. 2 early exits and 2 seasons without playoffs, the North Stars were in a rut. While the Stars were sliding on the ice, off the ice, they were in trouble. The Gund brothers, the owners who merged the Barons and North Stars, wanted to move the franchise from Minnesota to the San Francisco Bay Area. The NHL refused to allow Minnesota to lose its team, so they awarded an expansion team to San Jose. Then there was a dispersal and expansion draft where the North Stars sent players to San Jose, and both teams received players in the expansion draft. It was very confusing. The Gund brothers got their franchise, which would become the San Jose Sharks. The North Stars were still in trouble in the 90s. Attendance was poor, and the North Stars had made the playoffs in the last 2 seasons but were bounced in the first round both times. Minnesota was mediocre throughout the 90-91 season, yet they pulled out another Cinderella run to the Cup. Impressive victories against the Blackhawks and Blues, and revenge against the defending champion Oilers. The North Stars were going to the Stanley Cup final for the first time in 10 years. They would be facing the Pittsburgh Penguins, another team who hadn't won a cup. The North Stars took 2 of the first 3 games in the series. They were poised to bring the cup to the Twin Cities, but they ran out of gas again. The Penguins cruised to the cup in 3 straight games. The North Stars were close once again, but couldn't get the job done. The North Stars tried the next season, but lost in 7 games to the Red Wings. There were many dominoes to fall that would lead to the demise of the North Stars. Norm Green, the North Stars owner, was looking at other cities to move the team. In 1993, Green chose to move the North Stars to the Lone Star State. It was a heartbreaking blow. The North Stars would be moving to Dallas after the 1993 season. It's not like Minnesota didn't try. They wanted the North Stars to stay, and both groups were trying to get a new arena in Minnesota. There were other factors. Norm Green, crying poor, claimed that he was losing millions due to lackluster seasons and poor attendance. But there was more behind the scenes. Green had several harassment lawsuits around his neck, and his wife demanded that he move the North Stars to Dallas or she would leave him. If this leaked before Green announced the move, there is a good chance the North Stars would still be in Minnesota. But there was no leverage. Minnesota was bitter, especially when the Stars won the Cup in Dallas, which the North Stars were close to twice, but failed both times. Since the move, the Dallas Stars have won the Cup once, but haven't won it since. They got close in 2000 and 2020, but lost both times. The Stars have talented players in Jason Robertson and Jake Ottinger, and have high potential, but are always short due to factors in and out of their control. As a fan of one of their rivals, I hope they fail just because. It's not like hockey was done in the land of 10,000 lakes. Minnesota was close to getting a team back when the Winnipeg Jets nearly moved in 1996. But due to being unable to reach an arena deal, the Jets relocated to Phoenix. Fortunately, Minnesota wouldn't be without a team for long. In 1997, the NHL awarded an expansion team to Minnesota for the 2000-2001 season. The North Stars weren't the name of choice for this new team, but the Wild. The Wild would deliver something beautiful to the state of hockey. In 2003, they went on a deep run. It felt like 1981 and 91, except it wasn't. They wouldn't even make it to the Cup final. They were swept in the conference finals. Minnesota hasn't been back to the conference finals since. The Wild today are a playoff team, but not a real Cup contender. One day, the Minnesota Wild will get their closure. But at this time, you could say they are close, but never close enough. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I'll see you in the next video.